Welcome into week 2, episode 2 of Risers and Fallers presented by Mojo on the Mojo Podcast Network. I'm joined in with another very handsome guest, a great friend, Dalton Kates. How are we doing, man?
Dude, thank you, man. That was very kind of you. I appreciate it. I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Made my day. Yeah, dude. Things are good. Things are popping, man. Dude, Mojo just launched
Dude, the
Monday.
Mojo
Things are
launch hype
exciting,
has
man.
been insane. I love it.
Yeah.
A
Only
lot of
thing that
fun.
can make it better is Kyle Pitts having a breakout game on Wednesday. That's
Dude,
the only thing to make it better.
Kyle Pitts doing anything would be fantastic. I mean, I invested I have so many Kyle Pitts shares across all my fantasy leagues. I have, a lot of emotional ties riding on Kyle Pitts too. I talked to a lot of my friends, like Akash and I, on Twitter DMs, talking about how we would have invested in Mojo if we could, at his share price currently. And he just hasn't done it yet. Are you concerned, real quick, before we jump into our segments today?
No.
No, I'm not
No.
either. I think the
No.
talent will find a way to win out in the end, as
He's
it
fine.
always does,
He's
right?
fine.
Yeah,
It happens. It happens. Good players have bad games and
right.
bad possessions. It
Absolutely.
happens.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we have 2 segments this week, again, as we did last week. 2 different ones, though. We're going to be talking players that we are stashing, and then 4 players we're going to go through for long or short. Let's start off with stash season.
Stash season.
All right, man. Who are you stashing right now?
David Bell. I love him. He is look at that. He dropped 21%, man. So he's at $4.22. He's just a really interesting prospect, and especially like for a third round pick, like we know it's probably going to take time for him to see the field. And rookie wide receivers, they tend to produce more in the second half of the season. So I'm not like too discouraged by his usage right now. He did run 12 routes, which is more than what he ran in the first game. Donovan Peoples-Jones had a great week 1, but week 2 only saw 1 target. We know that there's going to be some opportunity for him. Like they utilized Bell in the slot primarily when he was on the field. So outside of Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who can both play outside, like there's definitely room for him in 11 personnel sets. Once Deshaun Watson comes back, that's just an elite quarterback tied to David Bell. David Bell, as a 18-year-old in college, broke out and had just great production in his college career, which is something that is a very good signal. He declared early for the draft, is only 21 years old. His comparable coming out, like he didn't necessarily test athletically at the combine, but we tend to know that doesn't matter as much for wide receivers.
Right.
A comparable player for me heading into the draft was Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen ran a 4.7 40, was productive at 18 years old in college.
Okay.
Was drafted also in the 3rd round and fell a little bit because of that athleticism concerns. And the main difference between Bell and Keenan was Keenan kind of came out as a rookie and just balled out. And we aren't seeing that playing time necessarily with David Bell, but he does have that profile. And for players, especially in the 3rd round, the guys that we tend to see, like outproduce their draft position, he checks a lot of those boxes. So I'm excited about him.
Right, absolutely. And I love this pick for a few reasons, but the main one that you highlighted was the return of Deshaun Watson and what that's going to do for his share price on Mojo. I think if he has one big game with Deshaun Watson down the stretch this season for Cleveland, his share price could go way up on a big week. I think we could see it increase over 20% if he had a huge game, especially with Watson. I think the long-term ties of the quarterback there in Cleveland is really enticing for people to, go out there and invest in him. I totally agree with you. He was one of my favorite deeper prospects coming out of this draft class. I really enjoy his game, and I hope that he sees a higher target share throughout the season as things get deeper into the year, and he hopefully ultimately carves out a role as the wide receiver too in Cleveland. I love the pick, man. Love the pick. All right, let's get into my stash here. It's going to be one of my favorites. Crossing my fingers guy to break out. Obviously, because I'm a Steelers fan. Kenny Pickett, man. Kenny Pickett. I think he has a big opportunity to go out there and really show what he's capable of this season with the slow start to the year from Mitch Trubisky. We saw Ryan Tannehill get benched for the Tennessee Titans this week against the Bills on primetime. It would not surprise me if Mitch Trubisky gets benched sometime soon if this offense does not start producing. There are high expectations in Pittsburgh, and as you can see over the last 24 hours, Kenny Pickett's stock is going up, 4% increase over the last 24 hours. I think there is a little bit of buzz happening in Pittsburgh, seeing the struggling offense for the Steelers to start off the year. Maybe signs are pointing towards a Kenny Pickett, getting on the field here. And if he does, if the moment he touches the field, his stock will increase. I also I just buy into the talent. I really like this film. I think he's a guy who was kind of underrated coming into the draft, honestly. I think his stock kind of fell just because Malik Willis's hype was so big coming up to the actual draft, and he fell down draft boards. it was a really weird round 1 draft night. Kenny Pickett was the only guy I felt confident putting a first round grade on from this year's draft class. I like Pickett, and I think that he's really underpriced right now. What do you think?
Yeah, he has a lot of weapons too. That's the thing is he has so many weapons there, right? And one thing that's interesting too is we tend to see quarterbacks who are rookies tend to start either like coming out of buys or something like that. But look, they play tomorrow night. That's 10 days before their next game afterwards. If Mitchell Trubisky has another bad game, like it would be reasonable to assume that there's a chance that Kenny Pickett does start. And then, when that happens, like before he even plays a snap, like his share price is gonna, bump up a little bit just based off the market expectations. So that's something to potentially get ahead of.
And even if there is no strong rumors coming out saying, hey, they might bench Trubisky, even as long as Trubisky continues to play poorly, which I expect him to, because he just is Mitch Trubisky, Pickett's share price is going to continue to rise just based off pure speculation of the market, as you mentioned. So I think it's a pretty safe long-term investment at this point, honestly. I think that the second he sees the field, his price should likely increase unless he goes out there and pulls a Nathan Peterman on us or something. So
he's still going to get playing time regardless.
Right, absolutely. He's going to get the playing time, and when he does, I think his price is definitely going to go up. All right, let's jump into our next segment here. Long or short? I have a few players here I want to get your opinion on.
Long or short?
All right, the first player I want to get your thoughts on here, Dalton, is going to be Kenneth Walker III, rookie running back for the Seattle Seahawks. Down 7% over the last week on Mojo. Current share price of $8.24. The relationship with he and Rashad Penny is pretty interesting so far. What do you think about his long-term outlook?
Oh, dude, you got to be excited about Kenneth Walker, man. Like, dude, in college, this guy was a freaking beast, like running the ball. He's only 21 years old. Age matters for running backs, right? Like, right. He's coming in. We know that there's a certain, prime that you have as a running back. And we start to see once running backs hit 25, 26, 27, that's when they start to decline a little bit. So you want to be investing in those young guys now because their best years, honestly, are usually in the first 3 to 4 years of their career. It was his first game back. That's the thing. It's his first game back. And we know with rookies too, unless you're a top 10 pick or a Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, you're just not going to see playing time like we expect right off the bat. Like even Breece Hall was actually pretty good for a second round rookie.
He's a really good prospect for a second round rookie.
Right. And he's still not even the full time. Jonathan, you remember Jonathan Taylor's rookie year? It took him until even when Marlon Mack got hurt, he was still splitting with Naheem Hines. Even at the beginning of last year, Jonathan Taylor ran for 1,800 yards. Still he was still playing 50% of the snaps.
And look at Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon right now too.
Right, literally. So the thing is, we have to be patient with him, and especially when you're comparing him to a lot of the other running backs on the list. He has the talent profile to maybe not like Nick Chubb, but a tier below. The same way we viewed J.K. Dobbins coming out. He's J.K. Dobbins without that serious injuries coming back from, and he's also a full year and a half younger than him. So I think he might actually be probably the best running back buy on Mojo right now, considering all that. The biggest concern, Luke, we saw this last time the Seahawks drafted a running back.
Oh no! Don't give me the Penny.
You remember what happened with that, right?
Don't do it. Don't do it to me.
I'm not saying it's happening. Because look, Rashad Penny, he thrived at the end of last year. So maybe it's going to take 4 years for Kenneth Walker to finally get the job. But I'll say this: I was encouraged with his usage in his first game back. It was a very weird game script, so we didn't get to fully get to see everything. So I think I'm very curious to see over the next couple of weeks how they split between Penny and Walker. But if Walker in 4 or 5 weeks from now is seeing more time than Penny, it's wheels up for Walker. It really is.
Absolutely. I think the major thing for Walker, as you mentioned, is the talent for me. I mean, watching his film, I feel like you can say that on the ground, just as a pure rusher, he's comparable to Breece Hall in terms of talent. Some would argue maybe even better. I mean, the speed is elite in terms of running back speed. I mean, under sub 4.40 guy. I mean, this guy is electric in the open field. I think once he gets the opportunity, I totally agree. I think it's wheels up for Kenneth Walker long term. And at his current price of $8.24 of the time of this recording. I mean, that's great value in my opinion. I think he's a great long-term buy. Absolutely. All right, let's go over to our next long or short candidate here. It's going to be Desmond Ridder, rookie quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Over the last week, his share price is up 21%. Maybe some market speculation about the poor performance of Marcus Mariota. What do you think about Ridder long term?
long term, I have concerns, and my biggest concern is I think the Falcons are just going to be so bad that they're probably going to be in position to draft a quarterback last year or next year.
It might
And
be.
the thing is when you draft a quarterback in the third round, like it doesn't show that you like this guy enough to draft him in the first round. And we tend to see those guys not necessarily see a lot of playing time. And if they do see playing time, they have to play that much better than the expectations in order for them to start seeing work. Like Davis Mills, I think, is a perfect example of somebody who exceeded his expectations last year based on his on-field performance. And then they went ahead and they didn't draft a quarterback. I think it was mainly just because it was a bad quarterback class. So that was part of the reason why they stuck with Davis Mills. But like that is kind of what you need out of Ritter. The good thing is, and the best thing about this is he has Drake London, he has Kyle Pitts at his disposal.
Great foundation there.
Literally. So if he sees the field, let's say halfway through the season, and he starts performing somewhat well and starts feeding those guys, like it's reasonable to expect that he might be better than we think just based off of having those. Like Drake London's looking like he's going to be an elite wide receiver at some point in the league. And as a rookie, he's looking like he's going to break out. Kyle Pitts is in that same boat as well. So like having both those guys.
Kyle Pitts already has his gold jacket getting made. Like
his gold jacket made. He hasn't put it on yet this year. I mean, I think they put it to the dry cleaners right now. So he's got to go pick it up this week, and then we can go see him roll it out pregame to week 3 against the I think they're playing Seattle this week. So
yeah. But I love it, man. I agree with a lot of what you just said. Long term, not the biggest fan of Ritter, but I think short term he could be an interesting speculative, go along candidate for me. Kind of similar to Kenny Pickett. If Mariota continues to play poorly, speculative, boosting into his stock, and if he sees the field, obviously a big jump coming for Ritter. All right, 2 more here for you. 2 Steelers. We'll start off with this guy first. Najee Harris. Long term, how you feeling? Over the last week, down 14.45%, down $2.35. $13.91, just under $14 right now at the share price. Thoughts on Najee?
Yeah, I mean that's a big drop in price. It's pretty big. I'm still hesitant long term. I think that share price is definitely a lot better than where he was at before. I think there's a couple issues when it comes to Harris. One is he's already 24 years old, so he's not exactly like a young running back, and 2 is he's dealing with like this frantic like injury where I'm not a medical doctor, but I listen to some people who are medical doctors, and they're saying like there's a chance of re-injury here. So in a scenario like it's possible that he gets hurt and he has to be sidelined for a little longer. And I'm also curious about the talent as well. Like we haven't seen Najee necessarily like on an individual running back basis like be better than like an average running back so far. He also has a very bad offensive line there. So for me, like when it comes, especially when you're comparing him to other players on Mojo, like for example, Kenneth Walker is 21 years old and Najee Harris is like almost like $6 more than him. And he's 3 years younger. Kenneth Walker legitimately is probably like an individual better running back than Najee Harris. So I think when it comes to that's kind of why I tend to fade Najee at that, but his price is definitely more manageable at that than what it was before.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you just said. For me, I mean, I'm a Steelers fan. This offensive line's the main problem for Najee, in my opinion. He just has nowhere to go. But also, it's kind of a both of those things combined are really bad with the way he runs, his style of running, and the offensive line. He kind of has some shades of Le'Veon Bell to him in the sense of like he doesn't explode to the hole. He kind of sits and waits for things to develop. He's a very patient back. And it kind of plays against him with the offensive line where he's pretty inefficient with his carries. When he gets in open field, he looks great. He's hurdling people, stiff-arming people into the shadow realm, but he has no room to get going. And that's the main problem for Najee for me. I think his workload's very consistent, which is great. Yeah. I don't think he's going to ever be horrible in the NFL. I think he has a very consistent workload, workhorse-level workload. It's just the offensive line and if he can stay healthy. And if he can do both those things, well, if he gets a better offensive line and stays healthy, I think he's a fine buy at his current price. But, the age definitely plays a factor. I think we don't see him get resigned in Pittsburgh. There's no way. I think at most he gets his 5th-year option picked up and then he hits the road. But I'm interested to see how the rest of his career in Pittsburgh plays out. All right, one more for you here, wrap up the show. Pat Freiermuth, Steelers tight end, $8.91, what I found to be pretty cheap compared to some other tight end prices. I'm not going to lie. Up 1% over the last week. Shocking. He's gone up 9 cents, ladies and gentlemen, at $8.91, 9 cents shy of $9. What do you think about Freiermuth's future in Pittsburgh? Hasn't been encouraging usage to start the year so far.
Yeah, no, I do like Freiermuth. I do. I don't think he's this elite level tight end, but he can be this very like serviceable like tight end who's starting for the next decade.
Right.
Like imagine like a Jason Witten, but like
This is the
maybe
first
not
name that came into my
as
head when you said
exactly
serviceable.
not like a like the less longevity Jason Witten. Like that's what made Jason Witten so good is he played for so long and he was this guy that like you're like okay he's very like reliable like week in week out, and especially when he had Tony Romo there, like that naturally elevated his talent. So
everyone in Pittsburgh and every Steelers fan is like he's literally just Heath Miller too. Like,
right,
like
Heath Miller's another good one too, right? Like
he's not going to be a superstar. He's not going to be Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, but he's a reliable, consistent playmaking option on the offense.
yeah, 100%. I think that's what makes him interesting, and especially what we've seen so far through 2 weeks is it's very like concentrated target share right now.
Right.
It's Deontay, Claypool, and Freiermuth, and I'm curious to see what happens with Pickens and how that evolves. But one thing that can really elevate Freiermuth is Pickett is good. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how good he's going to be.
Right.
But if they have a good quarterback there, like that could really help Freiermuth a ton. And that's my thing is I don't have a full strong opinion on a buy or a sell for him. I think I'm probably rather more like on the hold side with him.
Right.
But I'm really curious to see how he does because I think he's a fun player. He's a fun player for sure.
He is a fun player. He's made a lot of splash plays so far earlier in the season for Pittsburgh, which I was not expecting as a Steelers fan. I thought George Pickens was going to get more involved, and I also was kind of off Freiermuth heading into the year. But it's kind of shown that Freiermuth has become the big play option in this offense, which I was not really expecting. I think he's had some of the bigger plays of any of the Steelers' receiving options so far this year, which is interesting. But yeah, that's going to put a bow on the show here, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to the second episode of Risers and Followers, or if you're listening to the recording of this episode or watching the VOD, make sure you subscribe and drop a follow on every platform that you're listening to. Leave a review, leave a comment, leave a like, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one, everybody. Dalton, thank you so much again for coming on, man. See you, everybody. Goodbye.